what's going on, guys? This is John from GrowPro Solutions, and we're here to show the 4-foot wide single tier rolling tables. These are our single tier. They're continuous. We can put them up to about any distance you guys want. They are easy to install, and they have about a 10-inch span that you can move between the two. A good feature is these high extended poles. These help for your canopy management. That way you don't need to put extensions at any point, and you'll pretty much always need this 6-foot space. So this is the first step of every installation. You get all the material ready for the base components that is going to hold up all the structure. So here we have the legs. This piece is the support for the legs that interlock everything. And then there's a top piece that goes on this to give you your slope, and that's what creates the differentials. These all go in piece with this bolt and nut that binds it together. So to install the first set, you want to get this brace, put the bolt in facing the inward so you guys never have to scrape it. In the beginning, I hand tighten everything. I'll finish it off. This is a 12mm socket with a regular wrench, but I hand tighten everything just to lay it out, and then we'll finalize everything and crank it in. You're gonna offset each side, so if you start on the bottom, you're gonna connect to the top, and if you start on the top, you're gonna connect to the bottom. When you get to the center piece, both of the support braces go through the bolt, therefore you're having them connect and increasing your rigidity. The next step is to put this bolt into the slot and put this piece over the bolt. These are the pieces that are going to give you what slope it is. So you're going to want to take measurements and see how far away from this is. This piece is actually 23.5 inches away. So as long as that is 24.5 and then the following is 25.5, we have a downward slope, and this would be the draining side. So you got to make sure that the water is going to drain properly. Some customers might want a higher slope, so you can play around with whatever fits your water management style. The next step would be to put on the cross beams, the actual rolling mechanisms. These are just galvanized pipe. There is a female and male section. Once you get them into place, you're going to want to screw in the female-male connection with the 5/16 small self-tapping screws. Be very careful to get a solid screw that's vertically and not twisted in there, because if you do leave any twist, it will turn, it won't roll perfectly. After we get the legs up and the bracing in, and we get the bolts in, and then we're happy with the sizing, we place all of these support beams across throughout the whole length. The most important placement is these two over the legs. So on this side, this support has to be directly over the leg, because these are the anti-slip clips. This makes it so you cannot tip the table over, and it also does not go all the way on the other side. So in order to get these lined up, you need to have this over the piece. That way it can fit over the top and connect them to. Once you line those up, you can just go 17 inches off to give you a centering of all your braces. This is the support for the table. This piece actually butts up all the way in the back so you have more stability. You want to make sure that the end always has a good support beam right at the end. We did a 1-inch kick off this, and this helps give you stability on your end cap. And then you're going to drive in that 5/16 self-tapping screw on each support beam. Make sure you screw it in and it's snug and there's no wiggle room, because that little bit will actually change the distance over time. When we get to the center, we're going to put these two together with this clip. They butt up together, and then later on you're actually going to rivet those through and through so they won't be able to move. You want to measure one side and make sure that the other side is equal to that, so you're not off kiltered at all. So the next step is to put the anti-flip brace into the actual mechanism. This makes it connect this bar, and it makes it so you cannot push it over. So important, you have to make sure that there's 22 inches from the outside in, and you put it on with these screws. It slips on this side. You're going to want to line that up. Just like so. These are the longer screws provided. They're the same self-tapping. There's 4 holes you're going to want to put these through. For right now, we just put 2 on one. And as you can see, this makes it so it cannot tip over. The bottom of the brace hits this pole. That mark is a little off, but there's their 22 inches. You always want to make sure you double measure. Now, so when you roll the table over, it won't tip over. All right, so the last part of the frame is installing the width piece. So this is a 4-foot section. If you're buying a 5-foot section or a 5-foot table, it will be 5 feet. These are the end clips. The bottom piece has to have this lip because this is what goes in to this slip. So that's one piece, and then it just slips into this backside. And it's squared off. To finish these, you rivet them in, and we'll show you an example of that. This is the other piece, sliding in here, sliding in there, and here. Once we rivet it in, this becomes as sturdy as it's holding together, so it won't have this play. So the next step to finish this end cap is you're going to want to use a 3/16 drill bit and a drill to pre-drill a hole, and we're coming back and finishing up with a rivet. And you're going to make 2 holes. If you want, you could do 3. There are handheld riveters, so you don't need this, but this by far is a lot easier and it's a really nice tool. You insert the rivet, make sure it's flush. It breaks off this cap and you're left with the plug. All right, so this is the handheld one. It's a lot harder, but obviously if you're not doing this a lot, you don't need an automated Milwaukee. We obviously try to have enough tools to do it. So you put the rivet in and you clamp in. It connects, one push, it clicks in, another push, it clicks in. Of course it's going to be difficult, and it snapped. So it obviously is a lot more difficult. It works the same, gives you the same finished product, but the Milwaukee does a lot more work faster, and you have less chance of messing it up. So these tables they slip in the frame, you push them all the way against everything. Remember, this is the drain side, so the lowest point, which is going to be your bottom drain, needs to be where the drain is. This piece goes all the way in the back, it gives it distance, and then the center piece has this male part that overlaps this female part. So as you can tell, this is a little lower, whereas this is going to sit right above it. All of this is going to be adhesive, and we're going to press this together. So it fits like that. This seam will be covered with a layer of caulking, so you don't worry about if there is a little bit of distance in between there. You just want to make sure that you do a good adhesive job and also cover it up with some caulking so it's completely waterproof. On the other side, this is the female right here, and it's going to be overlapping just like the other side. Pretty good seam. And now we'll do the adhesive part, but once we do it, it's set and forget, so we wanted to make sure it's all lined up before we do the final. So this is the glue for the table. It's going to come in this bottle. We provide a little squeeze bottle, literally just poured it in. I cut the tip off, and now this is the applicator. Personally, I use a disposable something to wipe it. You can get a brush, you can use your finger. I recommend not getting this on you, so wear gloves if you're gonna do that. It is a little messy, so you wanna be lenient. You don't wanna slather this on, otherwise you're gonna get glue running all the way underneath it. So it's a simple application. do this from one side. And then you're just going to want to make sure everything's coated. If you didn't get a good job on that, it's time to do it now. If you really wanted to be crazy, you could tape off this line so no glue would get onto your actual table. I know it's annoying to see. If you care, you might want to do that. This is our showroom. It's going to look fine. Then it's a simple on top, butt it up. And then push it together. You can put some weights on it if you wanted to, but it should be fine, just adhesive. You are gonna put a caulking on this, so you don't need to worry right this second about this seam. But if you see anything that's not getting coated, this is the time, just throw some more glue in there. And the set time, it could take a little longer depending on your ambient temperature. If it's raining outside like it is right now, it's gonna probably take a full day to set to where you can move it around and it's not gonna pull. All right, we're getting to the final pieces. Now we're gonna work on the trellis support system on the frame. So these are the trellis support. They're actually just a clip-on. This bottom side goes on the top because this is a thicker part, and then this is a thinner part. So the first set, you want 2 inches away from the edge, just so you have an exact measurement. And then they clicked in, it's all good to go. This support goes with a 6-foot beam here. The bottom hole is the one that's farther away, whereas the top one is closer together, so it matches up. You're just gonna wanna line up these holes from the side, and then they go with this bolt. This is our standard 2.5 inch. We try to line them up all in the same one, so I'm choosing the top bolt. It bolts through, you got a washer, and a nut. For right now, we're just gonna leave it hand tighten for the demo, but you can anchor those in and be good. So same thing for the other side. This is the bottom edge, this is the top edge, and make sure it's vertical. Just the start off point, you're gonna do 2-inch burn off, clips in, it's good to go. Just line up the holes and insert, and you're good to go. For right now, we'll say here's your trellis netting support. You screw it in to the actual hole, and you are good to go for the whole system. You can put your netting directly hooked onto this, but you could also use a zip tie. This just reduces your waste of material. And this will go on each side. You're gonna wanna find that notch and go. Following that step, now we're beginning to do the frame for the outside, which gives it the stability. This is like a T-shaped clip. The bottom is gonna go up. So this slides through. Again, 2.5 inch bolts. washer and the nuts. So you get one, each section needs one of these. Slips in relatively easy. It is plastic, so you just make sure we're being gentle. Now this goes like this, and the next step after that is another brace shooting that 8 foot. So let's get that done. After you get your 4 foot cross piece, this is the piece that goes on top of this 8 foot bar that goes on your length. These are what are putting through these on top with a washer and a bolt. So let me show you guys what this looks like in action. So we got your desired length, a little slack over it, and then we're just going to finish these through and through. They take 4 each, so you gotta, it takes a little bit of time, but this is what's gonna give all your structure to your canopy. When they are really finishing out their bud weight, sometimes they're gonna wanna fall over. So you want this support installed all the way. So the centerpiece that connects these 2 8 foot pieces is just like another piece, but it has this backing. Connects like that, same bolts, and it should butt up together. And this is the last piece that you gotta connect. And let's go on the bottom. Looking good. And then we're just putting the bolts on and tighten it down. So this has been our instructional video for the 4 foot rolling bench. This has completed, so hopefully yours looks like this. If it doesn't look like this, please call us. This is simple, but there are some tricks, and if you guys have any problems, we're here anytime you need us. We'll try to talk you through it, and if there are any damaged parts, we'll be more than willing to send you guys a new one. The trays are very important structurally, so you guys really want to make sure we do it correctly. So please feel free, just hit us up, I'll answer. We can work it out together, and hopefully everything goes in easy and clean.